Hi peeps, Junction 6 here. Today's Sunday, and so we're going to be talking about this again, the tale of Jenny and Screech. If you haven't seen it, there's a link to it in the description. Please go watch it before watching the rest of this, because this has got spoilers in it. Please go away now, watch it and come back. Alright, hopefully they've gone and watched it, all those who haven't seen it. Quick recap on last week. I talked about Jenny and the fact that I thought that she was an Amy Winehouse fan. She lived in Camden Town, she had a job, she was a nice girl, and she dressed like Amy Winehouse. That's why she was wearing high heels. That's my theory. But that was last week. We talked about Jenny. Now we're going to talk about Screech. No, not that one. Our delinquent, who we know quite a lot about. He says the most out of every character in this. One thing we know for sure is that he's 14 years old, and he's a kid of the street, and he likes to smoke a bit of weed. We know he's definitely carrying one of these zombie knives, and of course that his mates call him Screech, although his name is James. Now, why do they call him Screech? People say because he's fast on his feet, so he's like a car screeching away. I think it's because of his high-pitched voice, because he's still only young. He's only 14. He's not reached full puberty yet, and so he's got a screechy voice. That's why they call him Screech. Not, as he believes, because he's quick on his feet. Don't forget, Screech is a bit delusional. He thinks he's the king of the streets. I should imagine he's been in lots and lots of foster homes and not been adopted. I think Jenny was adopted, but Screech just went from place to place to place. People couldn't put up with him, so he was just passed on to the next person. Now, in London, there are lots of schemes for young people who find themselves on the streets or with nothing to do, and one of them is they try and get them involved in boxing. And this is where he met the guy who was the one constant in his life, his trainer. This guy looked out for him, told him he was good, and Screech really respected this guy. So what happened the day that Jenny died? We need to work out where Screech was going, why he was carrying that knife, and why he got so angry so fast. And to work these things out, we need to go back and see what Screech was doing earlier on that day. It's about midday on that fateful day. He went to the gym, because that's what he always does. On a Saturday, he goes to the gym. He doesn't just go to the gym to work out and get better skilled at boxing. He's also there because of a babe. Yeah, there's a girl there who he really fancies. She's a bit older than him, and she's not really interested in him. She just sees him as a sparring partner, a little kid that can be funny sometimes. She's also the daughter of his trainer. Now, his trainer had noticed recently that Screech was getting more and more aggressive, and he was also bulking out quite a bit, a lot faster than what his training should allow him to do. His trainer had suspicions Screech was also using anabolic steroids. He let his daughter know to stay away from him because he was bad news. We also know that Screech smoked some pot with his mates before probably returning home, having something to eat, and then going out again. But why did he go out this second time whilst carrying that knife? I think he was going to trade that knife because he owed his dealer a lot of money, because he'd been supplying him with steroids, weed, but also cocaine. There is a very strong hint in Jenny's tale that Screech is taking cocaine. There we go, the international symbol for cocaine snorting. Screech is probably got cocaine in his system, anabolic steroids in his system. He's also got weed in his system. His body is going to be messed up, no doubt about it. He's going to get angry really quickly with that cocktail in his bloodstream. Now on this map I've marked out some key points. The red circle there is the park opposite Camden Boxing Club, where I think he was going to meet his dealer. The green circle at the top left is where I think Screech lived, and the blue circle is where Jenny was working before walking home. The red line indicates the direction Screech was going in, the black line Jenny's direction. Obviously the cross is where they met. And yes, I think he intended to rob Jenny, but he had no intentions of using that knife. That knife was there because he was going to trade it. But the cocktail of drugs in him just meant he wasn't thinking. He got angry and he used the knife. Of course, after using it, he ran to Patrick's house, number 54. There's a lot of debate about Patrick and Babe. That's all we know her as, the girl he phoned. I think Patrick is Babe's father. I don't think they're having an affair or anything like that, because I think Patrick was Screech's trainer and Babe was his daughter. I don't think at all that Patrick could possibly even be one of Screech's friends, because there is no way that Screech would go crying almost in panic to one of his friends. Plus, he's called Patrick. He hasn't got a nickname. He's actually calls him by his name, where if it was one of the boys, he would probably have a nickname. Screech, there is no way he would go to one of his friends. He would go to Patrick because he respected Patrick. Patrick was a lot older and thought he could help. He tried to phone Babe. She just fobbed him off because she thought he was just a little kid, didn't want anything to do with him. It was all in Screech's mind that they were in a relationship. There is no way she was going to be in a relationship with a 14-year-old. Of course then, with nowhere to go, nobody helping him, he had no choice. He decided that he was going to go and do some suicide by cop. He was going to charge the police, and in what is one of the most dramatic scenes in Screech's tale, Screech gets shot 4 times. I want to talk about Richard during Violet's tale. I'll explain why, obviously, during Violet's tale. I want to briefly sum up now what I think about Screech. Obviously, he's a pretty mixed up kid. He had a cocktail of drugs in him. He was violent because of those drugs, and it ended up with him dead. Screech himself was very, very delusional. He thought he was a big man when really he was a little boy. He thought he had a girlfriend. She wasn't his girlfriend. He thought he was king of the streets. He's not king of the streets. Patrick was his boxing trainer, who he thought he could turn to, but Patrick knew that Screech was using steroids and so didn't want any more to do with him because it would ruin the reputation of the gym. Next week, obviously, I'm going to be looking at Violet, Stevie, and I've got to get Richard in there as well.